Hello guys, and welcome to another Super Sunday video. Today I'm here again with Airbus A320 with TIE motors, and I'll perform a continuation of the latest Super Sunday video where I manually started the engine 2, and as you can see the engine 2 is now running. And today I'll be doing the procedure of crossbleed engine start. So with crossbleed procedure I will start up the engine number 1. So crossbleed procedure can just be used with engine one of the engines running. We cannot use the ground air unit to power up to make this crossbleed procedure, as here we use the air from the engine number 2 to supply the engine number 1 startup. So as you can see from the parameters, the engine 2 is running, and now I'll soon proceed with the procedure of crossbleed powering the engine number 1 and starting it up. So the first things first, with the crossbleed procedure we need to have the one of the engines which will be supplying the receiving engine in the engine we are starting. We firstly need the supply engine to be up and running, so the engine number 2 in our case is the supplying engine, and engine number 1 is the receiving engine. So we have engine number 2 running, and by that we also need to request to the controller that we'll be doing the high idle startup procedure. So I have requested that, so we can proceed. So now we also have the APU running, and first thing we'll have to do is turn off the APU bleed and make sure the engine bleed of the supplying engine, so the engine number 2 must be on, and the engine bleed of the receiving engine, the engine number 1, needs to be off. Then the cross bleed valve needs to be open, so the air coming from engine 2 can go to the engine number 1. So now we'll take a look at the lower ACAM page. We'll need to go to the bleeds, and as you can see now we'll have to adjust the supplying engine pressure to approximately 30 psi, and then at least maintaining 25 psi, so that is enough pressure to get the engine 1 running. So we'll adjust that, and this is, as we said previously, the high idle start. So the psi, the pressure is rising. We have 36 psi at least. So now we have more than 35. And now we can proceed with the normal engine start procedure. So the engine mode selector to ignition start, and engine number 1 is set to on. So now we'll take a look at the ignition. That ignition is positive and the pressure is rising, as we can see now. And by that also N2 is rising and EGT will be rising. And now we can see that we have the positive fuel flow, and the N1 is also rising. We'll now wait to engine to be stabilized. The stabilizing parameters are approximately N1 at 20%, EGT at around 400 degrees, and N2 at approximately 60%. So now the engine number 1 is stabilized, and first thing we need to do is get the idle thrust and the supplying engine. So now we're going to the idle thrust. Idle thrust is set, and now after a positive start we'll get the crossbleed valve back to auto, and the engine bleed of the receiving engine, which is engine number 1, is set to on, and we'll check that pegs 1 and 2 are on. The peg number 1 is at fault but is now on, and peg number 2 is on. And by that we have completed the whole procedure, and we can start with the after start checklist. So now, as you can see, the both engines are operating at the normal parameters. We have a positive start at both engines, and as I said, we can continue with the after start checklist. So firstly with flight controls checking, and we can also set the APU to off. So now you can also see that engines, both engines are running, and after we have completed the after start checklist, we are able to continue with the taxi procedure. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Bye bye, see you soon.